What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another morning car chat. I'm on my way to work and I'm running late as usual. So I saw this post the other day. Y'all know how sometimes I see stuff online and it inspires me to talk about it. And it was basically saying you have to make up your mind. You're either black or Latin. There's no black Latin, okay? So I was like, of course I had to roll my eyes. And you know, some people under that post were like, here goes another trying to be fake woke person, trying to make some sense out of something, but really just ends up looking dumb. It's like, you know, it was 2019 and people still can't differentiate between nationality, culture, ethnicity, race. You know, we over here got Cardi B of all people, you know, trying to teach us the differences between like nationalities and, you know, race, and, you know, trying to tell people, hey, not all Hispanics are Mexicans, you know, Mexicans and Dominicans are very different, you know, stuff like that. So then, you know, I come across this post, and this is the thing, right? So when you look at the populations of black people here in the Americas, whether you're African American, you know, black Caribbean, black Latin American, of course, you know, we're all descendants of enslaved Africans. If you're racially black on this side of the world, like, we know this. Somewhere down the line, we had ancestors that were slaves, okay? So, and under that post, their caption says something like, we're only enslaved Africans that were brought over here. Something like that. I don't remember exactly. So, so those initial slaves that were brought over, I would say this post would apply to them. I mean, they were African. They were culturally African. They did not speak any of the Latin languages. Yeah, there was nothing Latin about them at all. So this would apply to those first few generations of Africans that were brought over. However, now in 2019, you have black people that have been in the Americas for hundreds of years now, for generations, okay? They are no longer African in that sense. Like, culturally, they are now either American, or they're Caribbean, or they're Latino, like Hispanic. And that's the other thing, like the word Latino, okay, there's two ways you can look at it. You can look at the word Latino in the sense of, originating from the Latin people in Southern Europe, or you can look at it, meaning one of the Latin languages, you know, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, French, I think Romanian is actually included, is one of the Latin languages too. But on this side of the world, Latino or Latina also means coming from Latin America, okay? So there's two sides to it. There is the origin, you know, originating from Southern Europe, but there's also now the reality of people that were born in Latin America are called Latinos. Regardless of their race, they are called Latino, okay? If you are a black Dominican, a black Puerto Rican, a black Honduran, whatever, even though you are black, you are still considered Latino. You get what I'm trying to say? So it's like, by making this post, it's like you're completely taking away, you know, these people's cultures. Like, yes, they're racially black. Yes, they descended from slaves, but they are no longer culturally African. I mean, that African influence is still very much present in Latin culture, but at the end of the day, like, we're no longer African, or we're culturally now Hispanic, Latino, and Hispanic culture is, you know, a mixture of African and European and indigenous culture, you know? So, it's like, and like with African Americans, for example, they've been in the US for hundreds of years. Culturally, they are not African. like genetically, yeah, they descend from Africans, but their culture it's American, it's African American. It's like their own culture that they've created over being in the United States for hundreds of years. Okay, so it's like you can't just erase a person's nationality or a person's culture, you know, just for the simple fact that they're black, you know. So it's like, why are people still not able to make this distinction? Like, why are people still having a hard time understanding the concept that you can be black, but your culture can be different? Not all black people have the same culture. African culture is very distinct from Hispanic culture, or black Hispanic culture, which is distinct from African American culture. For example, my nationality is American. I was born in the United States. I am American, but my ethnicity is Dominican because my parents were born in the Dominican Republic. My ethnicity and culture, you could also just say, is Hispanic or Latino. You know, I also identify as that. Racially, I'm a mulata, but let's just, for the sake of simplicity, let's just say black, because that's what I put on my government forms. I put that in black. So it's like, you know, you got to be able to make the distinction, you know. And when it comes to Hispanics, Hispanics can literally be any race. I mean, you can be from any country in Latin America and be black. You can be white. You can be mixed. You can be indigenous. You know what I mean? So I don't know. When I see posts like that, it's like, you sound mad though. Also, I just feel like, you know, when you look at how much, you know, that African influence contributed towards modern day, you know, Latin American culture or American culture, like, why would I not claim that? Like, you know, I'm very proud of my Latin culture. And part of that, you know, is because of the, you know, that African influence that makes it what it is, you know. You know, my culture or my ethnicity, you know, is Dominican. I'm very proud of it. You know, I'm proud of all aspects of my culture, and I'm especially very proud of that African influence in Dominican culture, because I feel like that's part of what makes it so unique, you know. So it's like, why would you take that away from me and just say I'm plain African? Like, honestly, I could not tell you much about actual legit African culture, like present day African culture. Like, I just recently started listening a little bit to Afro beats like last year, okay? I know a select few artists, okay, but I do not know much about like legit African culture besides what I see on Instagram and, you know, and stuff like that, or if somebody else was to teach me. You know, like in high school I had a few friends that were Sudanese, so I learned a little bit about, you know, that, about their culture and stuff. But as far as, you know, West African culture, which is you know, where most of us on this side of the world descended from, West Africans, I couldn't tell you much, you know. So it's like, to take away these hundreds of years of Latin American culture or American culture that, you know, black people have helped create, and say y'all just Africans, y'all are just Africans that, you know, were captured and brought over here. I'm like, okay, yes, that is the story of our ancestors, but that's not our story presently. You get what I'm trying to say? Not that I'm trying to erase our ancestors' story. It's still, you know, your history shapes who you are at the end of the day, and that is a part of our history. But throughout the years, you know, regardless of where in the Americas you are, you know, your people contributed towards the culture in that place, whether you're in the US, in the Caribbean, in Latin America, wherever. So yeah, it's crazy. It's like, why is it? And I feel like it's mainly with black people that this happens. It's like, why are people always so concerned with policing black people's identity? Like, I just don't get it. Why? And it's like, and it'd be mainly like other black people. Like, why are you so concerned with how another black person chooses to identify? Like, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't see this happening so much in, like, among other races. It's always like black people. Either it's like, well, you need to just call yourself black, or it's like, well, you need to just identify as African, you know, or, you know, I don't know. It's always one thing or the other. I don't understand why. But anyway, that was it for this quick video. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this subject, and I'll see you guys in the next video.